Fedora, and wow, it's been a while since I've had a nice meaty creature feature to sink my teeth into, and this time it's crocodiles. And what a coincidence that my partner for this review just happens to look like the sort of person you'd expect living in a Louisianan swamp.
This coming from a guy who looks like the bastard love child of Frank Miller and Macaulay Culkin.
Well, that's the checklist opening insults complete, so let's dive right into 2007's Primeval.
Firstly, I have a question about the movie's box art. Mainly, where is the crocodile? What's the matter, guys? Were you embarrassed about the subject matter of your own movie?
And it gets even better. My version of the movie's box art has this clip art croc on the cover. Also, it claims it's inspired by the true story of the most prolific serial killer in history.
For the last time, Colin from The Wicked One, nobody is gonna buy that. Just give it up.
Silly movie. That's not a Hollywood. That's a Egypt. Oh, there's that inspired by true events message. So what's the real story? Well, Gustave, named by a convicted French rapist, is a crocodile rumoured to be up to 25 metres long and living around the banks of the Ruzizi River in Burundi, Africa. He's a vicious man-eater who is still uncaptured and has an estimated body count of up to 300 people.
And if something that astounding interests you, then have we got the movie for you to check out.
It's a documentary from 2004 called Capturing the Killer Croc. What, you thought this movie would give a shit about facts? Get out of here.
So, this movie starts at the site of some kind of mass murder in a wetland area in Central Africa.
Large caliber 45, I'd say. Fired within half a meter.
So what, even crocodiles are carrying guns now?
Well, given our country's current track record, maybe this is a real-life story after all. The police carry on to find more of these mass graves, which are obviously more likely the work of a militia of some kind. But when this British relief worker is about to dig them up to investigate, she is dragged into the water by a very speedy crocodile.
And, isn't it interesting that this has only now just become global news after a white person was killed?
By the way, we're in New York City now, because what would the story about killer crocodiles be without political scandal news stories?
Also, these are our heroes for the movie. Tim, a reporter played by the prison break guy, and his cameraman Stephen, played by a comedic sidekick stereotype.
Hey, by the way, you think Roger's tapping that ass? She got a nice ass.
We also have the brainy love interest who's named Aviva, which sounds like an Apple product, who is here to recruit Tim to go on an expedition to Burundi to capture Gustave.
Why?
Why are you sending a couple of city reporters to go crocodile hunting in Africa? Okay, well, she's the animal reporter, as they call her, so I can see why this is sort of her field. But Tim? From what I've seen, he's the equivalent of an E-News reporter. Why the hell are you sending him?
You fucked up.
I didn't know the Porter evidence was cooked.
You didn't want to know.
Oh, it's because he does his job half-assedly. Now it makes sense to send his totally inexperienced ass.
Burundi's the poorest country in the world, #1. The last 40 years, you got a civil war between the Hutu and Tutsi. You got famine, disease, terrorism, and corruption.
So, cross it off the holiday list? When the trio arrive, they are instantly greeted by their boss's contact named Harry, who tells them of a delay that will see their mission start tomorrow instead. I guess, after a while, crocodile then?
I have cancer now, so tomorrow later, and the team is being briefed by the guy who will actually be doing the crocodile hunting, played by video game voice acting heavyweight Gideon Emery.
They haven't changed much since the Triassic. Why should they? They're the most efficient killing machines on the planet.
Damn you and your sexy voice, Gideon! You made the Nightborn join the Horde! And about 1% of my audience is gonna get that joke.
Harry appears before they leave to introduce the men and guns he's provided to their ship and to give them a warning.
We're traveling through a territory controlled by Little Gustave.
Little Gustave?
He rules the Upper Rusizi like a king. Got his name from the crocodile. It's hard to say whose blood is colder.
There's a name for an African warlord that's bound to strike terror into the hearts of man. Little Gustave. He sounds very grumpy.
Okay, everybody, let's go bag ourselves an anaconda crocodile.
Okay, so these two are obviously meant to get together, so let's see how their chemistry goes.
You are such an asshole, aren't you?
Wow, hot. Look at those sparks flying. Oh wait, no, that's sudden gunfire because, oh yeah, there's an ongoing civil war in this part of the country. But whatever. Ratings! The next morning, jump scare.
Kid ain't got nothing on Alex Kittner. The team meets up with this movie's Quint stand-in, who tells them about that last attack. But that village where it happened is dangerously close to the territory of a militia warlord, Little Gustave. Just in case you thought everyone trying their best to make this name sound intimidating wasn't quite stupid enough.
So, armed with a reinforced steel cage and the support of the locals, yay, they're exploiting our suffering for monetary gain. Our heroes arrive at the village and get right to work at being rightfully judged. Okay, for all the snarking we're doing, I do give props. I mean, it may be a low-budget monster movie, but there is more thought put into it compared to other movies of this type where it's just giant X rises from the deep. They're talking about civil war and bloody child soldiers. It really emphasizes the struggle these people go through on a daily basis, and it's something that I couldn't even begin to understand. Saying that though, it's all kind of sullied a little whenever Steven decides to talk.
Why are you gonna pick a Negro spiritual?
Well, my people came on what you call a slave ship. But it's not so easy now. Rough mint?
We get it, movie. The script was written by two white guys. After bringing their equipment to the lake, they set some tasty baits for Gustave. Too bad when they wake up, all they ended up catching was a lousy T-Rex.
Gustave is drawn to the bait, but doesn't bite because it's only 40 minutes in, and why should there be anything exciting happening yet? So Steve Irwin tags him with a tracer dart, which they plan on tracking the next morning. But after catching video of a vicious execution on some of the villagers by little Gustave's men, the movie decides to go back to being political.
White people don't give a damn about black-on-black crime when it's around the corner from their house. Do you really think they give a shit about a bunch of dying Africans 6,000 miles away? Come on.
I do.
This movie is one sad track away from having a donation phone number pop up on screen.
However, while that's happened, one of the villagers tries to lure Gustave into the cage himself, but again, he doesn't show up. This dragon monster does instead. Oh wait, that is Gustave!
Our heroes arrive, and while Tim attempts to rescue the villager, Quint goes all, well, Quint, and is obsessively trying to kill the crocodile regardless of the consequences.
But Gustave has already moved on to their tent, which he tracked down somehow. Just in time to break up the sudden remake of I Spit on Your Grave that is far more scaly than the 2010 version.
Yeah, it turns out the men Harry assigned to protect them actually work for little Gustave. And before our heroes get executed as well, the villager that they saved from the crocodile, whose name is Jojo, arrives and guns down the corrupt soldier.
By the way, Jojo was in the movie earlier than this, and has said that all he wants to do is leave this place and go to America.
If I have to shove you up my ass to get you through customs, you are going to America.
It's a nice sentiment and all, but how's it going to look when you try to get him back out again?
Don't clench.
Unfortunately, Quint had already gotten shot by the soldier, so they take him to a safe place to try and stabilize him until their helicopter arrives. A shack in the middle of the river. I would say that's incredibly stupid, but I don't think even they were expecting Gustave to be a fucking cartoon. I'm not saying these insane croc attack sequences aren't cool or intense.
You better not be. This is awesome.
Yeah, okay, I know they are, and I know this is just a movie, so of course its purpose is to be entertaining. But if we're going to throw that statement there and not have any meaning behind it, then you might as well have Gustave be an alien for all the point it has. After Gustave Looney Tunes the shack to pieces, Quint gets taken, but in a last heroic effort, he pulls a grenade down with him to at least try and take the croc with him when he goes.
Smile, you son of a...
So with...
Holy crap, Gustave is immune to the Roy Scheider? You guys are fucked!
But I guess that filled him up.
When there's abundant food, they'll eat until they're sick.
Okay, well he's watching his figure then. Because it's morning, and when their helicopter finally arrives, it gets chased off by the militia, and Gideon gets run over, shot, his eyes popped out, and then the oceans rise and swallow the world.
The rest of our heroes are chased and shot at with rockets, and Jojo actually takes a hit before the goons are finally and brutally taken down. But none of that means we can't have a joke to lighten the mood.
I hate fucking Africa!
It wouldn't be like this if Killmonger was still the king!
Speaking of Steven, he's managed to get himself separated from the others and bumps into Gustave, who kills him by making him watch the Ring tape, I guess. But again, too much crocodile time is obviously not what we're here for, so instead let's get the reveal that Harry, the guy who gave them the corrupt guards who worked for little Gustave, is actually little Gustave. The guy who gave them the corrupt guards that worked for... That wasn't hidden very well. Anyway, he demands to know where the footage of his men killing the villagers is, so he can't be linked to it.
But Tim has a plan. They instead lead him to Gustave's den.
But oh no, you get those images of Rogue's nail-biting finale out of your heads right now, because no, it's just more Sci-Fi Channel approved CG. This crocodile is so bouncy, I'm surprised Captain Hook doesn't pop out of his mouth. And so, with all our survivors safe on their way back to America, where the only crocodiles they have to worry about live in the sewers, this movie comes to an end with the good news that the civil war and atrocities in Burundi pretty much ended with a ceasefire in 2005. Well, that would have been a nice message to go out on, but fuck good taste. No, let's end with a funky song playing over Gustave tearing apart these villagers and a message popping up telling us that he's still around and killing to this day.
Yeah, funky. Hey, you know what would have made the movie Zodiac a lot better? If at the end they play some disco music while telling you they never actually found out who the killer was. Well, that was Primeval.
Really, my main problems with this movie all stem from the fact that it's based on Gustave. Because they turn it into such a, well, creature feature with no actual facts given about him, and a whole lot more focus placed on the civil war in Burundi, that you just gotta ask why. It's just confusing what this movie is trying to be.
I remember seeing the trailer for this 2007 film back in 2006, and it's not featuring any footage of the crocodile. I was a bit skeptical about seeing it. That is, until the DVD came out and prominently showcased a crocodile on the cover. It is definitely a B-movie at heart. However, it takes itself far too seriously in some aspects. Everything from the political satire to the bad light the country is portrayed in just leaves me in kind of a damper mood. With that being said, the motion picture soundtrack by John Frizzell, intense action sequences and decent effects make this a worthwhile venture in the cradle of crocodile kind. I'd give it a 3 out of 5. And you can catch me and Fedora teaming up more regularly on my channel with Horror Show Entertainment Watches.
Yeah, that's right. You wanted to do this movie online on your channel first, didn't you? Nick a couple of my subscribers, huh?
That's right. Thanks for the views. Sucker! Bye!
And that's all from me for tonight, so I'm Fedora, this is Oh the Horror, save a screen for me, and we'll see you next time.
Bugami, 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 hey! 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 Bugami, 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 hey!
Yes! This is it. This is the cradle of all mankind. This is where it began. This is where Brian Gumble is from.